The 10,000 Fires sect was situated quite far from the core area of the central region. To avoid detection by scouts from other factions, Xiao Yan and his companion moved cautiously, which significantly slowed their pace. Elsewhere, within a sect near the flame furnace cliff of the 10,000 Fires sect, Pavilion Master. The Spirit Hall disciples managing the 10,000 Fires sect have arrived, but strangely, there are two of them, not just one. Inside an elegant pavilion, two well-dressed men stood. Suddenly, a guard entered the pavilion, knelt on one knee, and respectfully reported. Of the two men, one appeared middle-aged but exuded an overwhelmingly powerful aura, marking him as a mid-stage 4-star Xian. He was none other than Ling Yu, the pavilion master of the Listening Wind Pavilion. The other man looked quite young, with striking features and eyes that gleamed like cold stars. He was Yang Shi, a disciple sent by the Spirit Hall to oversee the Listening Wind Pavilion, possessing the strength of an early 4-star Xian. Manager Yang, what do you think we should do? Ling Yu asked after a moment, acknowledging Yang Shi's formidable strength and his connections with the Earth Hall's sect master Ling. Out of courtesy and caution, he treated Yang Shi with respect. Pavilion Master Feng, I've already coordinated with the Pavilion Master of Azure Cloud Pavilion. Their experts will attack the 10,000 Fires sect's territories. If they dispatch their strong forces to defend, we will immediately launch an offensive to seize the sect. Yang Shi replied coldly. Heh, while our Listening Wind Pavilion does have grievances with the 10,000 Fires sect, your efforts on our behalf are truly humbling, Ling Yu said with a smile. Seizing the 10,000 Fires sect's resources would undoubtedly elevate their standing, making entry into the ranks of top-tier forces much easier. Think of it that way, Yang Shi remarked indifferently. I'm merely following orders. It seems someone in the Earth Hall harbors deep hostility toward the 10,000 Fires sect, or perhaps toward the two Spirit Hall disciples managing it. Keep a close watch on the 10,000 Fires sect. Report immediately if any 4-star Xian experts make a move, Ling Yu ordered. Yes, Pavilion Master, the guard responded, and silence returned to the pavilion. Elsewhere, at the Azure Cloud Pavilion in the heart of the central region. Heh, what brings you here today, my lord? Your visit is a great honor. A middle-aged man greeted a younger man with a smile in an exquisitely decorated pavilion. Xun'er, your Azure Cloud Pavilion seems to be thriving these days. It seems my years of assistance weren't in vain, the young man said as he casually sat in the pavilion's main seat. You jest, Lord Ling Yu. Azure Cloud Pavilion owes all its success to your support. If you have any instructions, just say the word, replied Xun'er, the pavilion master of Azure Cloud Pavilion and a late-stage 4-star Xian. I came today for a matter of importance, Ling Yu said, dismissing the attendants with a wave. Soon, only the two of them remained in the pavilion. Yang Shi must have informed you to target the 10,000 Fires sect's territories? Ling Yu asked directly. My lord, how did you know? Xun'er was startled. Just days ago, Yang Shi had contacted him, proposing to attack the 10,000 Fires sect's territories in exchange for handing them over to Azure Cloud Pavilion afterward. Yang Shi works for me. The attack on the 10,000 Fires sect was my idea, Ling Yu explained. Who in the 10,000 Fires sect has offended you? I am willing to bring their head to you, Xun'er offered eagerly. Although the 10,000 Fires sect was a mid-tier force, it was no match for Azure Cloud Pavilion, especially when it was an opportunity to curry favor with Ling Yu. The 10,000 Fires sect is now managed by two disciples from the Spirit Hall. They are my targets, Ling Yu said with a smile. If you have the capability to capture them alive and deliver them to me, I will reward you handsomely. In that case, I'll await your good news, Ling Yu remarked. Xun'er's joy was palpable. Ling Yu's immense strength and talent were well known. As the words fell, Ling Yu's figure gradually disappeared into the void, leaving the area. Someone, send men to guard the sect. The 10,000 Fires sect's territory, I'll personally go there. Xun'er smiled faintly as he spoke. The sacred flame on Xiao Yan belongs to me. Just wait. A mere 3-star Xian dares to resist the extraterritorial evil clan? He's courting death. Walking through the void. Ling Yu's expression turned ferocious as he muttered. Emir, don't underestimate him. According to the leader, Xiao Yan has allied with many experts to completely annihilate several members of the 36 royal clans within the extraterritorial evil clan. At that moment, an evil aura suddenly surged within Ling Yu's body. Heh, don't worry. No matter how capable this guy is, he can't escape my grasp. This is my domain, after all. Ling Yu's face showed disdain as he thought of himself as a perfect 4-star Xian, controlling a half-domain. Just one more step, and he would ascend to 5-star Xian. By then, he could enter the ferocious Soul Lord's divine palace. Still, be cautious. The evil aura within him spoke again after a moment. Although it wasn't an expert from the extraterritorial evil clan, as a member of Sin, it understood the terrifying strength of the 36 royal clans. If Xiao Yan could destroy them, he must possess considerable power. I'll be careful. Ling Yu nodded, but focus on preparing to strip the sacred flame and suppress it. For now, let them jump around a bit longer. Once I emerge from the lovesick tree, Xiao Yan, you won't escape death. Ling Yu chuckled. Be careful. Your aura is too overpowering. If the experts from the Earth Hall or your father discover you, our plan will fail. Relax. Once I step into 5-star Xian, I can summon Lord Light Demon directly. By then, the entire ferocious soul domain will fall into our hands. As he laughed, a faint sound of rustling echoed around him. Meanwhile, Xiao Yan and the Blood Guards darted across the vast territory. Soon, one of the Blood Guards spoke. My lord, we've arrived at the destination. Stopping atop a rock, Xiao Yan asked, Oh, is that so? Lord, the Azure Cloud Pavilion is supported by strong experts from the Earth Hall. I must remind you to proceed with caution, the Blood Guard said, shaking his head. Relax, just lead the way, Xiao Yan replied nonchalantly. With his current strength, unless he encountered an exceptionally formidable opponent, he had the confidence to fight against even a mid-stage 4-star Xian. The Blood Guard sighed at his lord's confidence and could only comply. Together, they continued toward their destination, which was now quite near. Central Region, Desolate Mountain. The Desolate Mountain is the largest mountain range in the Central Region. Its vast terrain harbors countless rich resource veins, making it the most fiercely contested area in the region. Sir, the third elder of the 10,000 Fires sect, along with a few remnants of his men, has fled deeper into the Desolate Mountain. If they keep going, they'll soon leave the sect's territory and enter that of other factions, a powerful man with a commanding presence said. He stood at the base of the mountain, accompanied by a group of soldiers clad in military uniforms. Damned third elder of the 10,000 Fires sect. How dare he sabotage our plans? Lead the brothers. Search the area. We must catch him before he escapes the territory. Once he crosses into another faction's domain, we'll be in deep trouble, the leader shouted angrily, his brows furrowing. These soldiers, dressed in military uniforms with the words Azure Cloud emblazoned on their backs, were clearly subordinates of the Azure Cloud Pavilion. The leader, Azure Peak, was a mid-stage 4-star Xian. Ranked among the top 3 in the Azure Cloud Pavilion, he had been tasked to accompany the Pavilion Master on this mission to eliminate the remaining defenders of the 10,000 Fires sect within its territory. Elsewhere, Third Elder, we only have a handful of old and wounded men left. This isn't sustainable. Just 100 meters more, and we'll reach the territory of another faction. Instead of being captured by the Azure Cloud Pavilion, why not take a chance? Perhaps they'll save us out of goodwill. Let's gamble on it, a hoarse voice said. Under a towering ancient tree, a few scattered figures spoke. They bore various injuries, and the strongest among them, a middle-aged man, was merely an early 4-star Xian. But I'm worried the second elder won't be able to hold on. After all, the Pavilion Master of the Azure Cloud Pavilion is personally taking action, said the third elder leading the group, glancing nervously toward the depths of the crystal vein. Terrifying ripples of energy continued to spread from that direction, a clear sign of the fierce battle between the second elder and the Pavilion Master of the Azure Cloud Pavilion. Third elder, we should leave. For now, the only option is to return and summon reinforcements, one of the others said helplessly. We can't call for reinforcements. The sect is holding a strategically vital position, and many forces are eyeing it covetously. If we rashly mobilize our strength, the sect might fall. And once that happens, our situation will become even worse, the third elder replied resolutely. Heh, so this is where you've been hiding? Don't bother thinking about calling for reinforcements. I'll personally send each of you to hell. A sinister voice, as torrential as a raging river, suddenly erupted around the towering ancient trees just as the group began to move. Not good. Azure Peak has caught up. Third Elder, run. Protect the Third Elder at all costs. Several weakened figures immediately stepped in front of the Third Elder, vigilantly scanning their surroundings. Damn it. At this point, we have no choice but to fight. Moments later, as the terrifying azure hurricane around the towering trees grew more oppressive, the Third Elder's face darkened. Azure Peak, a mid-stage 4-star Xian expert from the Azure Cloud Pavilion, was a master of wind element cultivation. He had once eliminated a late 4-star Xian expert. With the Third Elder already severely injured, and only at the early 4-star Xian stage, the situation was perilous. Third Elder, why resist? You originally had over 50 guards patrolling this crystal vein. Now, only a few old and feeble ones remain. This is the fate of opposing the Azure Cloud Pavilion, came a mocking voice from within the Azure Hurricane, its wind energy exuding an overwhelming danger. Humph! Azure Peak, your Azure Cloud Pavilion is nothing but a group of opportunists. The Third Elder retorted, his aura surging as he forced himself to remain composed. When I recover, I'll make sure you pay for this. Attack. This will be your burial ground, Azure Peak declared coldly. Rest assured, this crystal vein will be well guarded by the Azure Cloud Pavilion. And soon enough, the entire 10,000 Fires sect will join you in the afterlife. Ha ha ha. As Azure Peak's voice fell, the Azure Hurricane intensified, its razor-sharp wind energy shrinking rapidly under his control, rushing to obliterate the group. Fire Spirit Serpent Shadow, explode for me. The Third Elder, facing Azure Peak's overwhelming attack, dared not hold back. His fiery energy surged, forming dozens of identical energy avatars around him, which shot forward to meet the oncoming Azure Hurricane. Boom! The devastating force of the Azure Hurricane wreaked havoc. The towering trees were instantly shredded, and the clash between the hurricane and fiery avatars generated destructive energy ripples. Despite the stalemate, strands of azure energy pierced through the fire, heading straight for the Third Elder. Ugh. It seems heaven has abandoned me, but even if I fall, I won't let you have it easy. Realizing his impending doom, the Third Elder's eyes gleamed with determination as a brilliant surge of power erupted from him, readying himself for self-destruction. Boom! Just as the Third Elder prepared to end it all, a gentle yet powerful force enveloped him, soothing his battered body. The deadly azure energy hurtling toward him was effortlessly dispersed by a man carrying a massive ruler on his back. Who was this person? The sudden intervention shocked the Third Elder. He quickly stabilized his energy and fixed his gaze on the newcomer, sensing an overwhelming danger emanating from him. Who dares interfere with the Azure Cloud Pavilion? Are you seeking death? Azure Peak's fury flared as the young man thwarted his kill. Third Elder, catch these. They're for healing your injuries, the slender man said calmly, tossing a few exquisitely crafted jade bottles toward the gravely injured elder below. Third Elder, Huiyuan, didn't I tell you to report the intel to the sect leader for his decision? Why are you? The Third Elder gently took the pill, a puzzled expression crossing his face. Third Elder, this guy is the disciple assigned by the Spirit Hall to oversee our sect this time, Huiyuan explained. Focus on your recovery. Leave this guy to me, Xiao Yan said with a faint smile. Then, his figure leaped onto a branch of the ancient tree, his vigilant eyes locking onto the man before him. A late-stage 3-star Xian overseer? Ha ha ha. Kid, you're walking into hell when heaven's path was open to you. Perfect timing. The Pavilion Master ordered the capture of 2 overseers from the 10,000 Fires sect. Qing Feng burst into laughter at these words. To him, Dealing with someone who wasn't even at the 4-star Xian level with his mid-stage 4-star Xian strength was as simple as crushing an ant. Enough talk. Fiery explosion technique. Without wasting words, Xiao Yan channeled his radiant fire-attributed Qi, his speed skyrocketing. He shot off the branch, drawing the ancient ruler of heavenly flames from his back, and launched a direct assault on Qing Feng. What speed! Though Qing Feng had underestimated Xiao Yan earlier, the latter's relentless counterattack forced him to adopt a defensive strategy. Windstar Heavenly Rain. In an instant, Qing Feng's battle core surged, and dazzling azure Qi emanated from his body, enveloping him entirely. Moments later, the Qi transformed into countless azure light points, each brimming with a sharp aura as they shot toward Xiao Yan. The attack's intensity was powerful enough to rival even a 4-star Xian. What formidable strength! Dragon God Transformation, Phase 1. As Xiao Yan darted about at high speed, he could feel the immense energy in Qing Feng's attack. Silently invoking his technique, a faint golden sheen flickered across his body. With the Dragon God Transformation's reinforcement, Xiao Yan's defense was significantly bolstered. Boom! The sky was filled with azure rain, silently pelting Xiao Yan. Qing Feng smirked at the sight, confident that Xiao Yan's reckless advance would lead to his downfall. How is this possible? Qing Feng's laughter abruptly froze as he noticed the countless azure lights vanishing the moment they made contact with Xiao Yan, as if extinguished. At the same time, Xiao Yan gripped his heavy ruler tightly and delivered a sequence of 7 strikes. Azure Windshield. Qing Feng, unable to comprehend why his attack had failed, hastily conjured a resplendent azure shield to block Xiao Yan's onslaught. Hiss! Missing his target, Xiao Yan moved again, but the strain on his body was evident. Even with the Dragon God Transformation, battling a mid-stage 4-star Xian like Qing Feng took a toll on him. This guy, what terrifying combat strength! He's actually holding his own against Qing Feng despite being a late-stage 3-star Xian. His battle core, techniques, and experience must all be of exceptionally high levels. What a freak! The third elder below could not help but marvel, astounded by the sheer power Xiao Yan displayed. Damn it! This guy's abilities are too bizarre. No wonder the Spirit Hall has its eyes on him. I'll have to get serious, Qing Feng muttered, his expression turning grim as all traces of disdain vanished. Getting serious? Good. Just what I wanted. Take this. 7-layered Skybreaker Ruler. Fire-attributed Qi erupted from Xiao Yan, wrapping around the ancient ruler of heavenly flames as he unleashed 7 consecutive ruler slashes, each spanning 100 feet with immense force. That's all? Don't embarrass yourself. Qing Feng waved dismissively, effortlessly shattering the 7 massive ruler strikes. A mid-stage 4-star Xian, truly formidable. Xiao Yan nodded slowly but refrained from using his flame-swallowing technique to conserve his strength. After all, the Azure Cloud Pavilion still had a late-stage 4-star Xian, the real challenge awaiting him. Out of options already? With mere late-stage 3-star Xian strength, forcing me to go all out is already a testament to your skill. But now, it's time for you to die. Ha ha ha. Qing Feng laughed maniacally as he gazed at Xiao Yan standing motionless below. Wind Radiance, Sunset Slash, Fall Boy. In an instant, the Qi in the entire space thinned. Not good. This is a peak sacred rank skill. If Xiao Yan faces it, I'm afraid. As the third elder spoke, he attempted to rise but was immediately swept away by the rippling energy. What a powerful attack! Xiao Yan stood quietly in midair, watching the overwhelming strike contained in Azure Peak's attack. His heart burned with excitement. Simultaneously, intricate patterns on the ancient ruler of heavenly flames began to emerge, empowered by the great heavenly seed's scarlet flame. This fluctuation was, incredibly, the power of the heaven-shifting ruler from the listening wind pavilion. Wind Radiance, Sunset Slash. A soft voice, like the tinkling of wind chimes, echoed. Instantly, a sense of intense unease pervaded the space. Boom! Without hesitation, Azure Peak gathered an immense amount of energy and the essence of heaven and earth into a green blade in his palm. He then swung it ferociously toward Xiao Yan. As the motion completed, an invisible sword aura, carrying unstoppable momentum, surged toward Xiao Yan. "It's over, boy." Ha ha ha. Seeing Xiao Yan unresponsive, Azure Peak burst into laughter. This strike had previously slain a late 4-star Xian. Against someone like Xiao Yan, at the mid-stage of 3-star Xian, it was more than enough for an instant kill. Whoosh, whoosh. What a ferocious energy fluctuation. It truly lives up to its reputation as a peak sacred rank Do skill. Heaven-shifting ruler. Just as the invisible sword aura was about to strike Xiao Yan, the intricate patterns on the ancient ruler of heavenly flames suddenly blazed with radiance under the power of the great heavenly seed. Instantly, the sword aura collided with the fiery patterns on the ruler and began to dissipate. Impossible. Azure Peak's pupils contracted as he exclaimed in disbelief. Return to sender. As Azure Peak reeled from his shock, a massive rift tore open in the void behind him. The terrifying slash that had just vanished in front of Xiao Yan reappeared, now amplified in power. No. By the time Azure Peak realized, the dazzling strike had already hit him. Slash. The blow, already formidable, had been further enhanced by Xiao Yan's own strength, doubling its power. Even though Azure Peak reacted quickly and formed a defense, he suffered severe injuries. Though the heaven-shifting ruler might not rank high, its power scaled with its wielder's strength. Drip, drip. As the invisible sword aura faded, Xiao Yan remained unscathed in midair, though his aura was slightly weakened, as the heaven-shifting ruler's counter required a significant amount of Do Qi. In stark contrast, Azure Peak's body was riddled with wounds, and blood seeped continuously from within. His figure was unusually still in the silent space. Curse it, curse it, curse it. To think that I, a mid-stage 4-star Xian, would lose to a mere 3-star Xian. Ridiculous, utterly ridiculous. Azure Peak roared weakly, his expression twisted with fury as he glared at Xiao Yan, seemingly ready to devour him. Die. This was the perfect opportunity to eliminate Azure Peak. Xiao Yan, unwilling to leave any threats behind, summoned the brilliance of the great heavenly seed and advanced, preparing a final strike. Xiao Yan, this time I underestimated you, but next time, I'll make you kneel before me. Azure Peak suddenly pulled out a white pill and crushed it. A dazzling white mist surged, and his figure vanished instantly. Spatial movement. How unfortunate. Realizing something was amiss, Xiao Yan tried to intercept but failed. He could only shake his head. Such spatial movement pills were extremely rare and costly. Master Xiao Yan. From below, the third elder's trembling voice broke through, filled with reverence. He gazed up at Xiao Yan, who had just defeated a 4-star Xian with his 3-star Xian strength, appearing like a deity. How are you all faring? Xiao Yan descended to their side, noting that their injuries had improved and their Do Qi had recovered by about 50 to 60%. He asked directly, "Thank you, Master. However, the threat to our territory isn't over yet. The Pavilion Master of Azure Cloud Pavilion is leading his forces against the Second Elder. If the Second Elder falls, control of our territory will shift to the Azure Cloud Pavilion. Master, we beg for your aid." One of them pleaded desperately. "Blood Guards, lead the way. The rest of you, remain here and recover. Join us once your strength is restored to 80 or 90%. Third Elder, the disciples sent by the Spirit Hall this time are truly extraordinary." A few figures nearby spoke, their tone filled with admiration. Clearly, Xiao Yan's recent defeat of Azure Peak had earned their deep respect. Focus on restoring your Do Qi. We still have a life-and-death battle ahead. Lord Xiao Yan, delaying them this time will rely on you. After speaking, the third elder closed his eyes to concentrate on recovering his Do Qi. He understood that while Xiao Yan possessed formidable combat strength, the Pavilion Master of Azure Cloud Pavilion was no easy opponent. Their best option now was to restore their strength quickly and rush to support Xiao Yan, thereby breaking free from this predicament. Deep within the crystal vein. Second Elder, your time is running out. I trust you're smart enough to make the right decision. Inside a cave in the crystal vein, dozens of experts had surrounded an elderly man. The leader stepped forward and spoke. Ha ha ha. I, the second elder of the 10,000 Fires sect, would never stoop to such treachery. The encircled elder laughed bitterly at himself. It seems you're refusing a toast only to drink a forfeit. I'll ask you one last time. Will you comply or not? The pavilion master of Azure Cloud Pavilion roared impatiently. I would rather die than betray my sect. The elder's face remained calm as he responded resolutely. The Azure Cloud Pavilion master had personally led a large force, something the second elder had not anticipated. Despite having stationed nearly 100 defenders within the crystal vein, under the assault of the Pavilion Master and Azure Peak, two formidable 4-star Xian experts, his forces had been reduced to less than 10. The crystal vein was on the verge of being overrun. The Pavilion Master aimed to force the second elder to lure the 10,000 Fires sect's remaining experts into a trap, enabling him to wipe out the sect entirely. However, the second elder remained unyielding. Stubborn old fool. Pavilion Master, why waste words with him? Let's kill both elders, send their corpses back to the 10,000 Fires sect, and see if their sect can remain indifferent. Once they retaliate, we'll have a legitimate excuse to completely subdue them. A wiry man among the group sneered coldly. Among the dozens of figures, only the Pavilion Master, at the late 4-star Xian stage, and the wiry man, a half-step 4-star Xian, were truly formidable. The others were mostly at the perfect 3-star Xian stage. Qing Yang's suggestion makes sense. Let's end this. After a brief pause, the Pavilion Master of Azure Cloud Pavilion raised his hand. Tiny wisps of wind attribute energy began condensing in his palm. Though they appeared insignificant, they were brimming with deadly intent. Qing Yunkuen, you despicable old scum. If you want to kill me, I'll make sure you pay dearly, even if it costs me my life. As the Pavilion Master's terrifying energy fluctuation grew, the heavily injured second elder's expression turned dazed. Suddenly, his body began to tremble violently, and wisps of green flames started to emerge. Clearly, he was preparing to self-destruct. Trying to self-destruct? Too late. Wind Mystic Palm. Perish. Seeing the elders move, Qing Yunkuen didn't hesitate. The terrifying energy in his palm erupted as he lunged forward, aiming directly at the elder. Clang! Clang! Just as Qing Yunkuen's attack was about to land, a massive black ruler appeared out of nowhere, perfectly intercepting the strike. Who's there? Come out! Qing Yunkuen's expression turned furious as his attack was thwarted. He shouted angrily into the void. Ah! Sect leader, you've made a grave mistake. Dispatching reinforcements like this is exactly what these people wanted. The second elder sighed, sensing the arrival of a powerful ally. His gaze dimmed momentarily. The loss of the crystal vein was inevitable. However, if the sect sent reinforcements, it could plunge the entire 10,000 Fires sect into a life-and-death crisis. Wait, this is a formation. The second elder's expression suddenly shifted to one of surprise. Purgatory formation map, bind them. In an instant, a scorching aura filled the underground cave. The entire space was replaced by a molten, fiery world. It seems we've encountered a formidable opponent this time, someone from the Azure Cloud Pavilion muttered as they stood in the molten world. Despite unleashing their radiant Do-Chi to resist the flames, they quickly realized the magma bypassed their defenses, directly corroding their Do-Chi. The fire contained an exceptionally unique energy. Prolonged exposure would leave them without even their bones intact. Second Elder, are you all right? Moments later, Xiao Yan appeared within the molten world, retrieving his heavy ruler and making his way to the Elder. You are? The second Elder was taken aback, but sensed no killing intent from Xiao Yan. Instead, there was a faint sense of camaraderie. I'm from the Spirit Hall, Xiao Yan replied calmly. A perfect 3-star Xian? Second Elder, you should recover your strength first. This guy is strong. Relying solely on me might be a bit challenging, Xiao Yan said, leaving some pills behind before stepping into the Purgatory formation map. Now, the formation lines have barely reached 40,000, enough to trap an early 4-star Xian expert. But this old man is at the late 4-star Xian stage, which might be a bit tricky. Standing at the center of the molten world, Xiao Yan glanced at the formation stone, where the 40,000 lines shimmered. His gaze then shifted to the Azure Cloud Pavilion members trapped in the magma-filled world, and he spoke again, unable to suppress his thoughts. "You all stay here. I'll handle this guy." Moments later, Qing Yunkuan's expression turned peculiar. When his gaze lifted and landed on Xiao Yan, he immediately understood that this person was one of the two individuals specifically targeted by Ling Yu. Although Xiao Yan was merely at the late 3-star Xian stage, the fact that Ling Yu valued him so highly suggested he was no ordinary figure. Though Qing Yunkuan didn't know why Ling Yu wanted to capture Xiao Yan, a mere late 3-star Xian wouldn't pose any resistance against him. After all, the gap between their strengths spanned an entire rank. "So, you're Xiao Yan," Qing Yunkuan said, his figure flickering as he appeared beside Xiao Yan, speaking in a calm tone. "And you must be Qing Yunkuan, Pavilion Master of the Azure Cloud Pavilion." "A late 4-star Xian expert, truly remarkable," Xiao Yan replied, showing no urgency to strike. Within his formation, he held numerous advantages, though the significant disparity in their strength was glaringly obvious. "Your formation is impressive, but it cannot restrain me," Qing Yunkuan remarked indifferently. "Someone has placed a high bounty on your head. I didn't expect you to deliver yourself today." "Then I'll graciously accept," Qing Yunkuan sneered. "Wind Yuan technique." With a cold snort, Azure Do Qi surged around Qing Yunkuan. His body moved like a phantom, traversing the magma world with ease. In an instant, he launched an attack on Xiao Yan. Fiery explosion technique. Seeing this, Xiao Yan's heart sank. Clearly, Qing Yunkuan's pressure was the most formidable he had faced since entering the central region. He dared not let his guard down. "Impressive speed, but trying to compete with me in wind attribute speed is unwise," Qing Yunkuan mocked as Xiao Yan's Do skill enhanced his speed. "Azure Wind Heavenly Finger." Qing Yunkuan's figure stopped abruptly after a brief pursuit. Azure light gathered at his fingertip, and a violent, restless energy burst forth. "Take this, boy," Qing Yunkuan declared. Boom! A dazzling surge of energy erupted from his finger, forming a massive finger beam 100 feet long that locked onto Xiao Yan as it roared forward. First finger of the firmament, summon heaven and earth. Xiao Yan's expression turned grave. From Qing Yunkuan's seemingly casual attack, he could sense immense danger. A late 4-star Xian expert's power was not to be underestimated. As Xiao Yan's great heavenly flames condensed at his fingertip, a fiery finger beam of the same size clashed with Qing Yunkuan's azure beam. Boom! The two finger beams collided, creating silent yet destructive ripples that spread across the molten world. Though the attacks initially seemed evenly matched, Xiao Yan's fiery finger beam was quickly overwhelmed. "Damn it! Second finger!" Xiao Yan gritted his teeth, his fiery finger beam showing signs of shattering. With a low growl, he infused more Do Qi into the attack, barely neutralizing Qing Yunkuan's strike. This effort, however, consumed a significant amount of his Do Qi. "Seems like you're not that strong after all." Qing Yunkuan shook his head mockingly. He couldn't fathom why Ling Yu had prioritized capturing Xiao Yan. Despite his skepticism, Qing Yunkuan maintained his cautious approach as pavilion master. Huff, huff. Xiao Yan exhaled deeply. Flame-swallowing technique. Without hesitation, Xiao Yan activated his mysterious technique. A small crimson cauldron floated from his chest. Great Heavenly Seed, Fireheart Heavenly Rock, Ghost-Faced Soul Flame, Devour. With a cold snort, Xiao Yan's aura surged dramatically. His strength skyrocketed from late 3-star Xian to the peak of early 4-star Xian. "Oh, you've got such a secret technique. It seems you're hiding some treasures. Once I capture you, I'll thoroughly interrogate you." Qing Yunkuan smiled as he observed Xiao Yan's sudden surge of terrifying aura. With his strength, he could immediately sense that Xiao Yan's state was due to a secret technique capable of boosting his power by nearly 2 stars in a short time. This discovery greatly astonished Qing Yunkuan. If he could capture Xiao Yan and force out the secret technique, he himself would reap considerable benefits. No delays. Despite the surge in his strength, Xiao Yan's expression remained grim. The pressure Qing Yunkuan exerted was overwhelmingly powerful, and this man was clearly a seasoned veteran. "Come forth, ruler." With a cold snort, Xiao Yan reached back and drew the ancient ruler of heavenly flames. His figure surged forward, charging straight at Qing Yunkuan. Such petty tricks. Qing Yunkuan sneered, enveloping himself in dazzling azure do qi as he deftly maneuvered to counter Xiao Yan. Soul-devouring blood monument. After an inconclusive exchange, a burst of sinister, blood-infused energy erupted from Xiao Yan, surging toward Qing Yunkuan. A thunderous roar echoed as Qing Yunkuan, despite his brilliant strength, was instantly trapped within dozens of blood-red stone monuments. In a flash, these monuments suppressed his power, reducing his Do Qi from the late 4-star Do Xian stage to the mid-stage of 4-star Do Xian. Now, let's see what cards you have left to play. At this moment, Xiao Yan stood at the peak of the early 4-star Do Xian stage, while Qing Yunkuan's strength had been suppressed to the mid-stage. This gave Xiao Yan enough confidence to confront him directly. You truly are a resourceful individual. No wonder that person holds you in such high regard. If this is all you've got, then today, you'll meet your end here. Despite the suppression of the soul-devouring blood monument, Qing Yunkuan showed no signs of despair. Instead, a flicker of fanaticism rose from deep within him. As this frenzy emerged, the molten world within the Purgatory Formation map began to tremble faintly.